I'm Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. So excited about this card today. The double flap fun fold card. And I don't know what's more exciting. The fact that the card is pretty amazing all by itself. But this paper I've been dying to use, and I'm so glad I got the opportunity. There's so many panels on this card that you can just use as much of the designer paper as you possibly can. We're using the Photoplay paper, Oh Canada 2, and I'm really excited to just dive right in. So I will show you first what the final product looks like. Ta-da! Excuse me. And the reason why we call this a double flap is we've got our first flap here, and then we have our second one there. And as you can see, this is the only panel, and believe me, I'm thinking right now that maybe I should fill that in with something, which you can most definitely do. But I have used as much of this paper as I possibly can in one small card that is 4.5 by 5.5. So we've used quite a bit of paper on this one, which I'm really excited about. Can you tell? So I'm going to go through some of the piece sizes that we need for this particular card, and then we'll get to making it. So I'll move that off to the side. For our base, we went with this beautiful red, and the base size is 4.5 by 11. This will be scored at 5.5. And then we have 3.5 by 10 scored at 5. So what we are going to do is when you actually fold this, we're actually going to be slicing this, and that's what gives us this second little panel here is what we've cut off from there. So we waste not. So that is it for the red paper. The designer paper, we are going to need, let me just get all the designer paper there. Okay, so for the front panel, we have this piece, and this would be cut at 4 3/8 by 2 5/8. So that's 4 3/8 across, 2 5/8 this way. And the reason why I'm being very specific about this is a lot of this paper is directional. So if you are wanting your bears to be sitting and not defying gravity, then this is why I'm being very, very specific with my measurements. The first measurement will always be with the width, and the second measurement will always be the height. So we have that piece. We will have 2 additional pieces, and both of these are cut at 2 5/8 by 4 3/8. So these 3 pieces are all the same size. However, the dimensions are being given in a slightly different way. And I just wanted to point that out, because this card is one, if you're using this particular paper pack, which I strongly recommend you do. By the way, it's available on fabulouspaperemporium.com. And if you are using a directional paper pack, whether it's this one or any one that you have, please make sure that you are paying particular attention to how you're cutting your paper. I only mention that because it's happened to us all. The next piece that we are going to be cutting today is, and we do need 2 pieces, and these are both cut at 4 7/8 by 3 3/8. The last designer piece, which is going to be our base to the inside, is 5 3/8 by 4 3/8. And then I did put a little white card on the inside of the second flap. So you could have your sentiment, stamping, whatever you want to put on the inside, all up to you. And this piece is cut at 4 7/8 by 3 3/8. If this doesn't make you love the 8s, there's nothing that will. So let's get started. So as I've shown in a previous post, You can score this for sure, or you can simply fold it. So fold it, making sure that all your corners are nicely aligned. So this fold is straight, and then we burnish. The alternative to this would of course be get out your scoreboard, and not to say that this isn't, you know, an appropriate way to do it. And you go to the 5-inch mark, you give a couple of good presses there, and we are done with that. So just again, 2 quick alternate ways of scoring your cardstock. And voila, 2 fabulous scored, folded, sorry, folded pieces of cardstock. Now, to get the additional little piece that we need for our first flap, we are going to take the front panel and we're going to slice them off. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer, the monster, and so if this is your front, I'm just going to simply flip that around. I am going to go to the 2 3/4 mark on my paper trimmer, put that down, slice it off, and then set that to the side because we no longer need that. And this becomes our front flap. Simple. So that is as complicated as the base gets. So the rest of the time we are going to be adhering our cardstock, or the designer paper, to the cardstock. That's what I meant. And I'm going to be using, again, Barely Art glue, which I do love. It works extremely well. I've had lots of good success, whether I'm using it on cards, on folios, albums, you name it. It's a really good glue. So something I hope to be carrying in the near future. So there's that panel. I did the stripe on this panel, and I've given this one, usually when you are measuring your designer paper, I usually go 1/4 of an inch smaller on both the width and the height. But for this particular card, I really wanted the red just to peek through just a little bit. And that's why we're stuck with the 8s is, excuse me, is the, you know, obviously if you have 4.5, instead of going to 4 1/4, I'm going to 4 3/8. And that's why we're loving the 8s for this particular card. But again, it's up to you. You can play around with it if you'd like. If you want a bit of the base to show up, then away you go. You just have to adjust the card, the sizes for your designer paper. It's as simple as that. So we have this awesome pancakes and maple syrup paper going on the inside. And then the base, I've used this lovely tealy aqua-y kind of paper. And this one has the toques on the other side. So I really did anything that I used one side, I tried to use the opposite side. And that's the beauty with using double-sided paper, is you have so many more options now. And making cards with double-sided paper. Oops, I need to move this over a little bit more than it was allowing me to. So no worry, that's the beauty of using liquid glue. So as I was saying, using double-sided designer paper really does give you so many more options. And when it comes time, we will be making a card that uses, instead of having, like in this case where we've used a red as a base, instead of using a plain cardstock, we've used the double-sided cardstock. And that is because it just lends itself to just having so many more pictures and interest to the particular card. I think I put that on the outside. Yes, I put it on the outside. So we're going to want that on this side. And because this opens kind of the opposite way to how a card normally would, again, be very careful and mindful of how you're applying this particular piece. If it is directional, you are going to want to pay particular attention. Open that card, double check it, and make sure that you're applying your designer paper in the right direction. And I say this because I think all of us have made these mistakes. I certainly have. So I've tried to learn from those mistakes. And there we go. Ta-da! Our lovely toque paper is going to go on the inside. And obviously this toque paper was the same paper as what I used on the very bottom. Not doing very well with my lines here. That's okay. It dries clear, so we should be good. And then, so really not a lot of cutting. Again, I keep saying, anytime I've made a card, probably the thing that takes me the most amount of time is deciding what paper to use. There is so much gorgeous paper out there that, you know, if you've got a stockpile, then you are quite challenged with figuring out what exactly I'm going to be using. So this one, it was really easy because I have been chomping at the bit to get this one, to get this paper pack out and, you know, used to a certain extent. And so to finish this card off, we are going to first put in this middle piece. And the reason being is because I want this top piece to really be centered. And this way you have a frame and a frame and a frame. And you get to see a lot of the cardstock from the outside. So I'm going to first put this piece down. And to make sure that it is extra secure, I am going to use my score tape. And I'm just going to run a couple of quick lines across this. That's because our paper will be holding on for dear life to this other mini card, I guess, that's inside. And so we just peel this off. And this is just going to add a little bit of extra stabilizing. Oh, it's not wanting to come off. There you go. A little bit of extra stabilizing when it comes to adding something a little bit heavier to your cards, to your designer paper. I'm still going to go over, whoops, with the liquid glue like so. And I am going to go over the tape as well. And that will dry. The tape will be fine. It's not going to do anything. I just want to make sure that we have really, really good stickiness. That's, well, probably not the right way to say it. Really good adhesion. I feel like that's my go-to word. But so we're going to adhere that to there. Love it. And then our front piece is easy to frame considering we've already got our base pretty much done. So on this side, we are going to obviously just glue half of it. I am simply going to flip that over and we're going to grab a couple of strips of our score tape. You know what, instead of confusing everybody, let's just go like this. And the score tape rips. It tears fairly easily. Just make sure that you have your finger on the very edge of the score tape. Otherwise, if it's too long and it's already stuck to your cardstock, you go to tear it and it's going to tear your cardstock too. So just a quick tip. Another quick tip is you're really going to have to make sure that you peel these before you start gluing them. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that it's going to stick very well. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to go around this way, across, make some zigzags. and then flip it over, get everything aligned without getting my head in the camera. It does, even though it has the score tape, because we added the liquid glue, it will give you time to move it around before you start pressing it down and making sure that it's all adhered nice and securely. So you do have a little bit of time to play with it. Not quite as long as you would if it was just liquid glue, but again, I just want to make sure that these panels are going nowhere. And there we have it. We have our fabulous double flap fun fold card. Amazing. And then you could always, on the inside, we have a beautiful sticker pack with this collection. Should have had that out and ready to show you. I haven't quite decided what I want to use, but I probably will use something. That is the sticker pack that comes with it. So we've got bears and flags and A's, as well as everything that is relatable to Canada, I think we've got on this sticker sheet. So it would be up to you. Stickers, stamps, ephemera, just an old-fashioned written note. You do whatever is that strikes your fancy. And there we have it. We have our fabulous double. I can't say double, which is weird because, like, how am I going to order a double? Anyways, fabulous double flap fun fold card. There we have it. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and you won't be missing any more future videos. Have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay well. Don't forget to visit fabulouspaperemporium.com to place all of your orders for this fabulous paper. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.